but my anger is justified. Get your coffee. A big part of my job is helping people to process this world and their life in it in a godly manner according to the God of the Bible. In other words, if the God of the Bible is real, and I obviously believe that he is, how shall we then live? What should our attitude and our conduct be if God is in fact real? And really, those are challenging questions. They're challenging and difficult because, as the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament observed, God's ways and thoughts are not my ways and thoughts. His ways and thoughts are higher than mine, like much, much higher than mine. So it is entirely likely that my default thoughts are not going to be in line with his, and that means that I have to adjust. And I don't like adjusting because, well, I don't like to be corrected or shown that I'm wrong. I'm sure you can't relate with that in any way. So my inclination when things don't go my way is to be angry and frustrated and to find a way to get even. But then I open the scriptures, as is my habit every single day, and I read things like this. Therefore, laying aside all malice, all deceit, hypocrisy, envy, and all evil speaking, as newborn babes desire the pure milk of the word, that you may grow thereby, if indeed you have tasted that the Lord is gracious. Don't be malicious. Don't be deceitful. Don't be hypocritical, envious, or defamatory. The Lord, your God, is gracious. And I'm really grateful, and I'm sure you are as well, that God is gracious, especially that he is gracious toward me. But does that mean that I also need to be gracious towards others? Well, yes, it does. But I'd rather be malicious. Well, you can do that, but you can't do that and still call yourself his child. God the Father desires that you, if you are his child, have honorable conduct, that you have honorable conduct among those that aren't his followers, that aren't his children. And these things can be incredibly challenging. They're hard, and they should be, because you can't just have right beliefs about God. You can't just have good theology. You should have good theology, but your theology needs to extend beyond just your beliefs. They need to be applied in right practice, in good practice, which brings us right to this, which is important and perhaps challenging at this present moment on November 10th, 2020. What the scriptures say, therefore submit yourself to every ordinance of man for the Lord's sake, whether to the king as supreme or to governors, as to those who are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers and the praise of those who do good. For this is the will of God, that by doing good you may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men, as free, yet not using your liberty as a cloak for vice, but as bondservants of God. Honor all people, love the brotherhood, fear God, honor the king. That is challenging. And it is especially challenging if the outcomes of last week's election, which I recognize are yet to be certified, and maybe they could change. But this is especially challenging if the outcomes of last week's election do not align with how you voted. This is the will of God. Do good. Do what is right. Do not use your liberty as a cover for doing what is wrong. As a servant of God, for God's sake, submit yourself to every ordinance of man. Kings, governors, presidents, legislatures. Now, I recognize I'm just one voice among millions of others online, and among all of the voices online, you can certainly find someone who will confirm your biases, but every other voice needs to be held up to the scriptures. This alone is authoritative if you are seeking to live after God. It is a living and powerful, sharp two-edged sword that tests the motives of my heart. So search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my anxieties, and see if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Some things to wrestle with today as you drink your coffee. We'll see you next time.